All right, how's everyone doing? This is Rich CELENZA, and thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? What I want to get into today is actually a spin-off of what I did before on a video or a podcast. I can't even remember. I think it was a podcast, and it was called The Law of Attraction. Is it legit or is it full of shit? I think I called it. So, I always loved the concept of the law of attraction. Obviously, when The Secret came out, I loved the book and all these different things like a lot of people did. I like the movie. I like a lot of those speakers, obviously. I think for the most part, they're really positive and really want the best for everybody. And as much as I think there's strengths in the law of attraction, which there are, I believe that I think when it really boils down to is you feeling like you deserve these things, because I think a lot of people feel as if they don't deserve anything or they don't deserve a lot of things that they want, which I think from that perspective it was really interesting, which I think is cool. But I think what happens is it becomes a form of laziness also. And I also think it really makes people extreme daydreamers, because I don't care how much you sit around thinking you deserve something down the other end or it's coming your way when you're not putting any action toward getting it, you're out of your fucking mind, right? I mean, you're daydreaming, right? I mean, that's really what that is. And I do believe it does make you feel better. There's no question about that, because you believe that's coming. Those possessions or whatever, people or whatever you think's coming your way, yeah, they're going to come eventually. They're going to come. But if you don't obviously put yourself, I always say, in the right place at the wrong time, nothing's coming to you. If you sat in your house and did nothing, and you do hear stories like, oh, this person won the lottery because they believed in that they would win the lottery because they had the law of attraction, or they won it more than once, or whatever. Well, I can assure you, anybody who plays the lottery, for the most part, believes they can win it, or they wouldn't be spending money on it, right? So that doesn't really value that. But I go back to a lot of people who I know, especially in the Midwest, and I travel all over the place. They always want to live near the beach, or I want to be near the beach. I don't care what they do, unless they physically move themselves to a beach, they're not going to get to the beach, right? And I guess I said this in the other one too, regarding Lake Michigan. If that's your beach, then that's your beach. But I think a lot of them are talking about Southern Cal, or California in general, or Florida, or Hawaii, or Australia. I don't know, whatever their angle is, you got to get off your ass and physically move. And I kind of look at that. The law of attraction is really about being, I think, to a certain point, on defense all the time, because you are always waiting for something to come towards you, for you to attract that. You're waiting, like you're coming, and then once it comes at you, you want to either attack it and, well, not attack it, just let it come into you, right? It's kind of like a surfer riding a wave. He's waiting for the wave. They think it's going to come. They're going to get on that wave, and then they're going to ride it, right? But as you know, most people who surf, especially at the beginning, they get smashed. It's crashing on them, right? Constantly. So what I really believe, let's put it in this perspective, is a football kind of scenario. So if you follow football or not, you most likely know there's offense and defense, right? So obviously offense, you have the ball, you're coming down, you're trying to score a touchdown. Defense trying to prevent you from doing that. And I've loved football my whole life. I used to play middle linebacker, running back, everything. Still watch it to this day, and love it. But I think you got to realize, for the law of attraction to work, you got to flip it. It's actually the opposite of waiting for the law of attraction. You have to attack it. By you attacking it, you're now the wave going after it. And then everything in your way is going to gravitate, and you're going to grab it and pull it through, right? So back to football, not to mean to jump back on the wave. Sometimes I have that. I flip-flop. But in football, I always said it's a game of inches. 1 inch gets the person or the team the first down. 1 inch blows a field goal. A lot of times somebody blocks a punt, it's by 1 inch. Somebody misses the ball, it goes right through their fingertips. It's a matter of inches. And I think that's what life's about too, again, is inches. It's moving very small increments, just like in a football game. But again, you have to be on the offense. Some days you're going to have days where you go very far. Like some days are amazing. It's like throwing a bomb or a Hail Mary, and you got so far very quickly. Other days you're going to be stopped. You're going to be stopped, right? All these every play is kind of a different play, and each day of your life is going to end up with a different result. 1 minute in football, you go 1 yard, the next one's 7. You may get a first down, the next one, who knows? Interception, who knows? What's happening to you? But you have to keep moving forward from an offensive perspective, not from a defense. And that's the one thing that I do have some issues with the law of attraction. Also, no one really ever talks about, a lot of people don't understand what it is having a lot of things. They're depressed because they don't have certain things. So let's take, like one of the lessons I learned in my life growing up was with my father. So my father moved to Florida after he owned a nightclub and opened a business. And then my father brought a big, beautiful home. We called it the estate. In Florida on the lake, he had, he had pontoon boats. He had mini cigarette boats or whatever the hell you want to go, speed boats. He had not just a regular pool, 40-foot pool. He had, I don't know what, I ended up doing landscaping. I think we had 23 palm trees lined. It looked like a South Beach home that you would look like on the Intercoastal. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It was beautiful. He had TVs built in the wall. He kind of invented the flat screen to a certain degree. He had a massive jacuzzi even in his bedroom. Diving boards. He's obsessed with landscaping. So he made it insane with landscaping. I mean, he had a full-time landscaper, plus we helped landscape all the time. You get the picture. So, and then he had sports cars, you know what I mean? He still has an unbelievable sports car called a Zimmer. I think it's a 1980 Golden Spirit. It's the only one left in existence. He had convertible Corvettes. He had a Brooklyn. He had all these Cadillacs. And what a lot of people don't realize, when you want certain things, like a lot of people I see, they're like, man, I just wish I had one big, beautiful home. And the thing they don't realize, money or not, I mean, if you're a multi-millionaire and you can afford to pay everybody to do everything for you, that's great. But I think a lot of times that even becomes uncomfortable. Do you want strangers in your house? Cleaning your house all the time, maintaining your home. And I'm not just talking about somebody doing landscaping and cleaning your pool. I'm talking about somebody always being there, having to maintain this home. And I don't think a lot of people, when you really think about it, want people in their home like that. Some may, if they were kind of born and raised in that environment. But for the most part, again, let's go back to the big, massive home. I thought living in a home like that would be amazing. And it kind of is. But I didn't realize all the work and effort and how much money and how much aggravation that went into it. It's more like aggravation than anything else, because there's things always breaking down because you have all these things and they're bigger than everything else. And just to maintain that, and I can't even explain it, even cleaning the size of that home. And especially you start having parties because you have that home, but things are, like I said, are breaking down, and then they're obviously just the exterior of the home, constantly having to have work done on it, not only from a from a landscaping point of view, but being painted. My crazy father went really nuts. He had trees in his homes, plants. I mean, he's extreme. He did that in his bar, his nightclub as well. He had a massive tree put in his bar, behind the bar, the money tree, he called it. He had money all, it was crazy. And I know that's an extreme, but my point being is sometimes, like, you don't understand what goes into having certain things. And another thing I would relate to that too is a lot of people I know, they're not happy because they didn't end up with a certain type of car they wanted, like a Lamborghini or Ferrari, Porsche, where a lot of my family members and friends owned a lot of those type of cars. I mean, including a Lamborghini. So a lot of people don't even realize, like, if they even purchased a Lamborghini, they don't realize the maintenance aspect of that. Is thousands of dollars. It could be $15,000, $20,000 a year. Also, the depreciation value of a car like that usually could be between $20,000 and $25,000. They don't realize the insurance on that car is around $5,000 to $7,000, and I think that's under 3,000 miles. And then the biggie is having the attitude of not caring if something happens to that car. So my dad used to have a saying with all his stuff, and said, if you could take a $100 bill, light it on fire, if it doesn't faze you, you can own a sports car. And he was right, because it's not only about, owning the car and all the, obviously bringing in and maintaining it, oil changes. It's people hitting your car. You're driving it in fear. It's too fast for a lot of people. They don't know how to drive them correctly. They're afraid it's going to get stolen, scratched. Most people, when they have those type of cars, are afraid to even bring it out, which kind of defeats the purpose, but you get the point. And again, if you're extremely wealthy, a lot of people want a lot of wealth, and you're like, who cares? It's just another car. And I'm going to go back to wealth. And I think this happens with a lot of people. I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of poverty within my family members, and then a big part of wealth, some extremely wealthy family members that are just very wealthy and kind of can do whatever they want, whenever they want, travel, have homes all over. I mean, I'm not going to they may not live a billionaire's lifestyle, but well off a millionaire's lifestyle. And I realized a lot of times with them how really money can be a curse as well as beneficial, obviously, because I did realize with a lot of my family members that are wealthy, a lot of people are always going to them for money. There comes with that a lot of responsibility. My family owns a lot of companies too, some very successful, which the stress that comes along with that, even some of my cousins who are VPs of major companies even ended up having health issues in their late 30s. And I think a lot of that is stress related. And my point being is, a lot of times you're sad because you don't have certain things, but you don't realize what involves those things, the stress level and everything else that comes along with it, right? And I say that all the time. Just because you may want to be a CEO of a company, but you really probably don't. Because being a CEO, you may make a lot more money, but you have a lot more aggravation, a lot more pressure. You have to deal with a lot more different things, even though people are like, no, you can hand it off to the CFO, or you can hand it off here, or you can do that or this. And they don't even work that hard. I'm calling bullshit on a lot of that. Most of the people I know that are very successful work really hard. A lot of them aren't that happy. A lot of them don't have a lot of time. A lot of them don't sleep very well. So my point being with all this is really take a hard look at yourself and what you truly like, because you usually end up at a position in life a lot of times where you feel the most comfortable. All right? And I know you may not believe me, but the reason you may only have a home that's a certain size and you never ended up with a sports car, or you never ended up a CEO of a major company, is one, you may not be as intelligent as you need to be to do those things. That's just a reality. That could be a lawyer or a doctor. The truth is there's many different levels of intelligence, drive, and people finding their gifts, that have gifts in certain areas that may pay a lot more money than your gifts. So you may be an amazing painter, for instance, and then somebody else is amazing at running a tech company, whatever. So one makes billions and you may just make, a certain wage. Again, that's not something to look frown upon. We all have strengths and weaknesses. But I really, really believe that a lot of times we only want to take on what we want to take on. And I don't think a lot of people really want to admit that. Okay, because a lot of people want a stress-free life to a certain degree. They don't want to have a lot of employees underneath them. They don't want to deal with a lot of tax issues. They may not want to deal with certain companies having to have political ties. They may not want to deal with a lot of banks, paperwork. And what happens is I think a lot of people think they are going to avoid those type of things if they have money. It's like, oh my God, if I won the lottery, all these things would be taken care of anyways. Most people I think who win the lottery end up broker than when they started statistically, because they don't know what to do with money. And no disrespect to anybody out there who wishes for money. I think a lot of people wish for money, but they don't even know what to do with it. They don't know how to invest it. They don't know how to make more of it. They usually only know how to spend it, which in turn ends up making more bills for them, which most people, as you know, they'll buy a home. If they win the lottery, they buy expensive cars. Before you know it, they're being taxed, or they're buying a lot of things that are losing money instead of going up, or they after the money starts to run out, unless it's like hundreds of millions. Now I'm just talking smaller $1 million lotteries and stuff. When you win hundreds of millions of dollars, you could do whatever the hell you want, but those are your odds of winning that are in the billions. But even if people come into, I've realized a lot of settlements, people leave them a lot of money. Usually they end up either broke or exactly where they started off, because that's where they're comfortable. So my advice, if anything, is to find really what you're truly comfortable doing and grow from there. Because I think a lot of people think if I only did this or if I only did that, I'd be successful. Most likely you're not doing those things, because one is you don't know how to do them, and you probably don't belong in that position. It's just the truth. But if you will go back to a painter, I have family members that were just very low-level painters that ended up extremely wealthy. They took on a lot of different things and took it to the extreme. They figured out a way how to make painting extremely profitable and growing. And I'm not even talking locally, not only just in their state or city. They ended up going global. And a lot of people thought, like, that would be crazy, but they knew their strengths, and that's what they built upon. They weren't like painters saying, my God, I wish I owned a cell phone company one day, or, oh my God, I wish I was, this or that, or they kind of found their strengths, and that's where I think, again, the law of attraction situation, where you become attack in where your strengths are, not get caught up really with what you don't have. And I think by doing that, you're going after, or you're doing what you truly know what to do, basically, and then you keep going again like the wave. Then I think the law of attraction does start to come your way. It's just like if you're making money, the more money you kind of make and you're controlling that atmosphere, the more deals you can kind of, get involved with. And people do come, to you with deals. It's not like you're chasing deals, right? There's a big difference between chasing and receiving. There's no question. But again, you have to be on the offensive side of things. You cannot be on the defense waiting for deals to come your way when you don't even have any money, or you're not networking, or you're not out there learning. Because the truth is, people are lazy. They a lot of times only want to learn what they want to learn. And if they would just kind of break out a little more here and there and be a little more open-minded, they would just go so much farther. But again, that's fear. And it takes time. And a lot of people like to waste a lot of time, right? Or they only like to do whatever they want to do. And sometimes to succeed, you really got to learn. You got to do things you don't always want to do, which is maybe learn, study. It could be go to school. It could be learn different traits. If you want to do something like hypothetically videos, you may like to shoot videos. You don't like to edit them, or you don't like to upload them, or you don't like to work on the audio, or you don't like this. I went through that myself making films. I did it because I love the collaboration of my cousin and me making films, and my friends as well and colleagues. And I never edited. I thought by writing, producing, and directing, that was enough, right? But the truth is, I probably should have learned how to edit. I spent like a couple of years in an editing room, and I'm doing everything else but edit. I should have paid more attention. Now that I'm doing videos and podcasts, it's like starting all over. Well, I should have been much more advanced, and I should have had the know-how to say, Rich, learn this as well. I think I didn't want to learn it because I felt like if I learned that, then I wouldn't have the collaboration. I'd kind of become like Rodriguez. He's a famous director, but it would, then I wouldn't have any collaboration, and I love collaborating. But again, you gotta sometimes break out, and that's what I had to do now, because I wasn't going to do a podcast. I wasn't going to do videos. I was just going to do this program. And then people just kept saying, Rich, just get back in front of the camera a little more. I did it when I was younger, when I did some modeling. And then my first film, I wasn't supposed to be in it. I was in it. And then my second film, I just did a little piece. And then I said, I never want to be in front of the camera again. And then, it was funny because I was on the cusp of, and that goes back to 98, 99. I started to do a lot of recording with, making films, shorts, independent films for a few of them. And then as soon as the technology with YouTube and all these other things came into play, I kind of pulled out because I'm like, oh, this is getting saturated. I don't want to have anything to do with it. When I should have been the one to really jump on that and go full throttle, because I could have probably done a lot of things with that. But I didn't. I don't know if it was fear or I think I was just exhausted. And that's when I went on to write my own books, which reminds me, when I went to school, teachers used to literally say, Rich, I think your options are either being a garbage man or just kind of go into the mob. I literally had a couple teachers, I'm not exaggerating, say that in high school, because they kind of knew a little bit about my family background, which at the time I was like kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, God, am I that stupid? Because I was ranked so low. The truth is, I just wasn't interested in a lot of things they were teaching. And growing up in a nightclub, when I went to school, I literally felt like I was falling asleep. And then my mother, being very religious, bored me to death with all the religion. So it was like religion and then school, and I really was just exhausted from it, and I didn't have an interest in it. And then I realized once I got out of school and I started to get around things that I loved doing, that I excelled very quickly. But I don't think a lot of people know that. But I had the mindset like, fuck school and college. I want to make money, and I want to make it now, and I want to make it quickly. And I was doing that for a long period of time, even legally or illegally. I'm just telling you, that's what I did. I knew my strengths. The problem with me is I still know a lot of where my strengths are on the illegal side, and I decided not to go that route anymore. Which in turn, I think, when I went into filmmaking and did some other things, I wasn't as successful, and I was I'm not saying depressed, I was actually very upset and pissed off that I wasn't as successful as what I was on the streets doing other things. But it was I had children now. I didn't want to carry that burden. Again, what was I willing to have money? So we used to gamble legally and illegally all over the place. So we would make a lot of money at times. And I worked with my father. He did very well as well. So I got to incorporate all that. But what price was I willing to pay to be successful in that business? Getting arrested, or, you have kids or something happening to you, a lot of things dealing with people who are paying you, not paying you. It becomes very aggravating, stressful. You're losing friendships, relationships over this. Again, that's what I wanted, and I got it, and I didn't realize what was involved with it. And I think back going full circle, that's what people really need to acknowledge with the law of attraction, or what they truly want is figuring that out and really figuring out what you're going to succeed at and really who you are. Because a lot of things, I always say, the smallest things are kind of what we're about, I believe, like even a cup of coffee in the morning, maybe a couple beers you like, maybe watching football. I'm using this for men. You may like going to the movies. You may like a lot of things. They're not huge things. If you wanted to be involved with huge things, you would have probably got involved with huge things like running a Fortune 500 company or getting a law degree. Or, some of my closest friends have law degrees. And I would have never gone through what they went through. And then what I was doing when I was younger, they were shocked at what I was going through to make money. So when you look at it from the outside, like, God, how does he do that? But, and how do you do that? But really figure out who you are and what you really want. And if you do want a big home, for instance, and you want Lamborghinis and you want all these cars, start back to inches, putting yourself in a position to get those things. I always say people are doing that shit all the time. They're getting it. It's not like it doesn't exist or it's impossible. I mean, thousands of Lamborghinis are sold a year, I don't know how many $1 million homes are out there now. Tons, more than ever. So all those things are out there. Again, don't wait for the home to come to you. If you're in an apartment, a home is not going to slide up to your front door. No one's going to pull up with a sports car and go, hey, dude, come on in. That's bullshit. And I teach that in my Mastering Self-Confidence with women. No woman, for the most part, unless you're a celebrity, unless you're extremely famous, don't expect them coming and be knocking on you. They're not going to be knocking on your door. You have got to go get them back to offense. You cannot wait for them to come to you. All right. All righty. I'm going to wrap it up there. Where are we at? 22 minutes. All right. I'm going to start interviewing my father. He's got some really cool stuff to talk about, and other family members, including wealthy ones. And again, I'm not against the law of attraction. I actually studied it for like 10 years. I was like a philosophy all of a sudden I got caught up in that, and I loved it. All I did was read about it and think about it, and I need to make some changes as well, but there's a lot of things I think that are missing, but a lot of things I think that, struck up a lot of things to think about. And again, just get yourself slowly but surely, I call it the turtle in the race. A lot of people want to go from 0 to 100. They want to go from a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm going to open this company, like, you hear, like tech companies and all this, like these guys go from the garage, and then all of a sudden, now they're worth $100 million. I'm not saying that can't happen, but slowly but surely, if you do want some of those things, just keep putting yourself in a position to try and get there, and also try to surround yourself, obviously, with people. Because that's one thing I never really did as much as I should. I didn't get the right mentors, and I didn't get around people that can show me the right way to do that. It's kind of egotistical, but they can teach you something in one day that could save you 10 years of 10 years of heartache. They can show you how to invest properly, what they did right and what they did wrong. Don't be afraid to ask people, man. Get back on the offense. Go after them. Don't wait for them to come to you. Mentors just don't knock on your door. They don't email you and ask for help usually. I mean, that's the odds of that happening. You have to go out and find them, right? Even if you got to pay for consulting, maybe a little bit here and there, I don't know. But you definitely need to go after what you want to go after, because it's not coming unless you go after it. All right, thanks for checking out my Rich CELENZA show. WTF are you talking about? I got a YouTube channel. I'm posting all different things up there regarding videos on my Mastering Self-Confidence program, the blueprint to trying to find the woman of your dreams, even if you've been through a bad breakup or divorce, fitness advice. I also have, what else? I got this podcast, I guess you could say as well. What else do I got going on? I got tons of stuff going on. I got a new app actually coming out too called the You Around. It's an app to help anyone in a time of need. right? So there's a perfect example. All I heard from everybody my whole life is, man, I wish I could help people. I wish I could help people. Well, fucking do something to help them. Most people tell me they always want to help people, and they don't even give $1 to a homeless person, or they don't care about anybody really but themselves a lot of times, which I'm not saying you have to hand out your money to homeless people everywhere, but if you really want to help people, learn how to help people. It's not rocket science, right? And that means more than just going on Thanksgiving to give somebody a turkey, to make yourself feel better. So I created an app. I'm trying to finalize this thing. It's been so long. It's going on probably 2.5 years. I didn't realize the time or expense behind it, but it's really an app to help anyone in a time of need. So, check that out as well. All right, take care.